will get 5 minutes if they choose to take them, and as such, I recognize myself for my 5 minutes. So let's talk, we heard about facts, so let's talk about some facts, indisputable facts. January 20th, 2021, the national price for gasoline on average was $2.39. That's when this administration began. That is a fact. How about another fact? On February, I believe it was February 24th, 2022, Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. That was the Putin price hike, except in a little, it's to an inconvenient truth, to quote someone that wrote a book about that about 20 years ago, was the fact that the price of gasoline at that time was $3.52 national average. It was 47% higher before Vladimir Putin crossed into Ukraine. So who's going to own up on that? And at its peak, it was at $5 a penny, which was a 110% increase from what he inherited. And today, even today, after all this miraculous intervention by the Biden administration, it's still $3.41. It's 38% higher. So another thing, another fact, an inconvenient one, this is why we're having a hearing about the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is it was only drawn down 3 times. And when it was drawn down, Desert Storm, 1991, 17 million barrels. 2005, Hurricane Katrina, that was a catastrophe in Louisiana, 21 million barrels. And then the military intervention in Libya in 2011 was 31 million barrels. And then Joe Biden, it's not 16 or 17 or 20, it's 227 million barrels. That's a multiplied, 10 times multiplier in the reduction. And then this interesting question about how the energy security can be best achieved with renewables. I have no problem with the renewables. I don't know any of my Republican colleagues that do. I'm all for wind and solar. I'm for a comprehensive, realistic approach, because I can tell you that I'm going to get on my unicorn and ride it to a pool to visit my mermaid that was financed by a leprechaun, because that is pie in the sky and it's not reality. The fact that the President of the United States in his State of the Union said we're going to need fossil fuels for maybe 10 more years. Well, heck, I'd love to say that we're not going to need them next year, but that's not the reality. And I can't wait if we're here 10 years from now, because it's going to be very little is going to change. And even when you make a transition, that takes a decade or two. There's 200 countries on the planet. Mr. Drummer, why isn't any of them doing what you just said? If it's more efficient and more cost affordable, renewables should be dominating the industry right now, dominating the energy sector. Why aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly because there's too much money to be made is why my co-witnesses are here. It's
no.
You're holding. There's too much money to be made in the short term.
Oh, hold on.
That's what it is.
I reclaim my time.
That is just the reality.
That is absolute leftist bunk. And this is why. And respectfully, because not everybody's in the oil and gas industry. If you're in the energy sector and you can make dough on providing wind and solar, why wouldn't you do it? Yeah, that's a rhetorical question. That's obvious. Mr. Epstein, they do it when they have incredible subsidies. If they just do it with their own money, that would be one thing. Energy security. Renewables going to do it for us? We're going to be reliant on China?
I mean, it is just crazy that we can talk about solar and wind being incredibly energy secure when the supply chain is just completely dominated by China, which they can cut it off at a moment's notice. So they can destroy the whole thing. So that's one. And then two is, this is very important when we hear these bizarre claims of cheapness. Solar and wind cannot replace fossil fuels. So solar and wind are unreliable, intermittent sources of electricity, not all energy. Electricity, they can go to near zero at any given time, which is why they need near 100% backup. So when you have solar and wind, you can't just look at the price of the panels and the wind turbines. You have to look at the price of the backup. And this is why in California, where I live, in Germany and Denmark, you see skyrocketing electricity prices the more solar and wind you use. So they don't replace costs on the grid, they add costs to the grid. So it's just it is a proven fiction that solar and wind are cheaper and replacements for fossil fuels.
Mr. Drummer, do you recognize that to move an 18-wheeler, there's only 2 things that can do it right now, natural gas or diesel fuel? You agree with me on that? The only way it's going to move a big rig like that.
I disagree with you on that, but I follow in the line of
you
question.
could make $1 billion. How do you move an 18-wheeler?
So there's a thing called research and development, and there
that
are
exist right
companies working. Human ingenuity
No,
is
can
something
we,
that we need to
can we
lean in
move an
on.
18-wheeler
There are
right now?
companies
Sir,
developing
can we move an 18-wheeler right now?
battery-powered, electric-powered
Are they on the road right now? en masse?
rigs. There are companies
Oh,
developing
they're
a range
developing,
of
but they're
technology.
not on the road right now.
It's a thing called research and
Okay,
development.
so they're not. Thank you. I yield. Okay, Ms. Stansberry, I recognize you for 5 minutes. Go ahead.